biggest opportunity you see right now in women's sports storytelling that not enough people are talking about?
For me, it's the really obvious formula that we've been using in men's sports forever that for some reason we haven't quite adapted to in women's. We're great at the feature storytelling and we're good at a highlight or two.
One outdated norm that still lingers when it comes to how women's sports stories are told.
Okay, well, the WNBA Golden State Valkyries expansion team is worth $600 million and they haven't played a full season yet. Find me another company worth $600 million that you're like, no one cares, or I don't want to be in business with that.
Hello everybody, I am here with the iconic Sarah Spain. You just did a fantastic panel with AZ Fudd. How do you come up with questions on the fly so quickly?
Oh gosh, you know what I think the secret is I did the entire conservatory at Second City Improv. And the key of improv is yes and always be listening, because the audience is listening to every fact that you give out, knowing that it's like off the cuff, and then you're building on that. So I think a lot of people when they interview someone or do panels, they're just waiting for them to stop talking so that they can get to their next question, and they're not really listening. So I really try to be present in the moment with the person I'm talking to so that I can build off of whatever they said.
Yeah, so that you can adapt and move forward with a normal conversation rather than just an interview.
Yes.
That's a great piece of advice. You have had a front row seat to the evolution of sports media. What's one outdated norm that still lingers when it comes to how women's sports stories are told?
You know, I think the biggest one is the big obvious one, which is still the like annoying and BS retort of like no one cares or no one watches. And I think the biggest difference in when I started in my career now is that we actually have the black and white data. Whether it's Wasserman, whether it's ESPNW, whether it's Sports Innovation Lab, we have these full research studies that tell you statistically team valuations, brand affinity based on investment in women's sports, time spent watching, merch buys, all the other things. And so when you get into a meeting with someone or even a conversation with someone who says no one cares, they say, okay, well, the WNBA Golden State Valkyries expansion team is worth $600 million and they haven't played a full season yet. Find me another company worth $600 million that you're like, no one cares, or I don't want to be in business with that. And for such a long time, it was a subjective argument that was valid and true because the product was good. It was being hamstrung by intentional choices made at media and brand investment and everything else. But now not only do you have that subjective argument that's still true, but now you have the cold hard facts. And for me, that's what you lead with, is stop trying to convince people to have a brain about it and start just appealing to the capitalism that we know runs everything.
I love that, and that's what you're doing with your podcast. I think it's incredible, not only the guests that you have, but you talked about on stage how Sue Bird was going to give you her Rolodex. I just listened to your interview with Megan Rapinoe. I thought it was fantastic. How do you make your guests feel so comfortable? And two, who do you plan on using next in Sue's Rolodex?
Ooh, good one. So one I would think is I'm comfortable. I'm prepared. And when you're prepared, you can do the work without having to feel like, oh, yeah, what was that stat and what was that? And you can sometimes almost see or feel someone trying to figure out the thing. Oh, I forget the name of the... And I make sure I put in so much prep in advance that when I get to the moment, I've got it all on the tip of my tongue or up in my brain. I bring all the institutional knowledge of actually doing the work, watching the games, interacting, reading the stories. So I think that's part of it. And then also one of my tricks, which I hate to give away because people will steal it, but it'll make for better interviews, so maybe I should, is in the intro, I'll not only read somebody's bio and how amazing they are, I'll try to give context clues for the audience so that they are better listeners to the guests, knowing something about them that's going to help them understand the conversation we have. And at the end, I always think of something funny. So that at the very end, let's say I'll say 3-time gold medalist, 2-time World Cup champion, 5-time All-Star, and you know, her dog whatever, or she loves to kiss her dog whatever on the mouth, and she's never seen an avocado toast she doesn't like.
I love that.
And then they instantly sort of go, oh, okay, this isn't gonna be too serious.
Right.
And so I try to like make sure in the intro even I set them up to say like, we're gonna have fun here, don't stress. And then try to give them my energy of a back and forth conversation like you said, so they don't feel like they're being interviewed, so they give organic answers. As for Sue's Rolodex, so we had this fun moment on the show where I interviewed Sue and Diana Taurasi at the Final Four, and Diana lost to my Chicago Sky with her Mercury in the WNBA Finals and broke a door in the Sky locker room. And it became something of a rallying cry for Sky fans, and the team even brought the door she broke to the party in Grant Park celebrating their win.
Oh my gosh.
And so I, for Diana's retirement party, like a little retirement gift. For Diana's retirement gift, I got her a bench in Door County, Wisconsin, that says, "For D. Taurasi, who always hated doors." And I unveiled it to her at that live show, and we're having a ribbon cutting with goats, and people in Wisconsin have been messaging like, when is the bench coming up? We need to bring our Diana Taurasi jerseys to the bench. Like, it's ridiculous, it's absurd. Yeah. So I want Diana to come back on after the bench is in place. So I'm gonna be calling Sue to get back to Diana, to have her back on the show to talk about the bench.
That was the most fantastic answer I've had all day. Oh my goodness. I have one more question for you. I have so many, but I know we have limited time. My last question to you, Sarah, would be, what's the biggest opportunity you see right now in women's sports storytelling that not enough people are talking about?
For me, it's the really obvious formula that we've been using in men's sports forever that for some reason we haven't quite adapted to in women's. We're great at the feature storytelling, and we're good at a highlighter too. The key for me is story, stake, stats, and stars. I was asked to write a chapter in a book called, I think it's called The Little Life's Book of Skills or something. And each chapter is how to iron, how to throw a dinner party, how to change a tire. And mine that I got asked to write was watch sports. And it made me go back to the beginning and think about if I took someone to, say, a Chicago Cubs game for the first time, what would I want to tell them so that they had a great time, as opposed to just staring at a field and not knowing how the game works or what the rules are. And I thought I'd need to tell them story, stake, stats, and stars. And I've taken that to my Good Game with Sarah Spain show and said, if you're just showing up to women's sports, I'm going to use full names. I'm not going to use nicknames or acronyms for the leagues and for the players. I'm going to tell you who the stars are and why you should care about them. I'm going to tell you who's about to break a stat or what stat matters. Is 40 points a lot or not a lot in a game? Maybe they don't know that. The stakes, is this a regular season game or a playoff game? And then the stories are the obvious part. Why should you care? This player just got traded, and is this their first game back? Are they married to someone on the other team? Are they married to someone on their own team? We do that in men's sports so organically, and with women's, we just drop in and go, they won the whole thing, all right, see you next season. Yeah. And then we're like, why isn't anyone watching? Well, you didn't give them any information to care about. Yeah. So on our show, we're all about stories, stake, stats, and stars, and I think if you take that everywhere else, you can give people the information they need to like hop into some new league and give it a shot.
I actually was listening to your podcast in an effort to prep for this weekend, and I thought, one, how entertaining is this? But two, it gives me, to your point, the tea of what's going on. Yeah. People love the tea.
Yes.
I think you do a great job of that, and you killed this interview. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.